Okay, so for the evaluation question on what media technologies I used to develop my film, I'm going to start with the razor tool. So for this, I needed to use it to cut down the actual footage itself. So each individual scene that I'd filmed, I used to cut down the very start and the very end. This was useful mainly because there were only two of us making the film, so we had to start the camera, then get into position, and then make the film. So it just cut down a lot of the time. And then obviously with that, it helped with the continuity of the film as well. Then we went on to actually editing the green screen. So to use that, you use keying. So keying is part of your video effects. So when you go down on video effects, you've got keying, and then if you click down on that on the folder, there should be ultra keying. And then ultra keying is used when you go onto your clip and you've got effect controls in the top corner. Underneath effect controls, there should be key color, which has like a sort of drip tool on it. And then you click onto that, and then you click onto the back of your green screen where the actual colour is green, and that removes the whole green, so you've got a black background. So from there, you can just drag and drop an image into video 1 section on the timeline, and then your video move up to video 2, so that becomes the foreground. And then obviously that means that whichever background you want, in our case we use the USA flag, that was the background, and obviously Alessandro being acting as Austin, he was the foreground. So that was used to good effect, because obviously we showed him in his subconscious, so it made it look like he was in his mind thinking about what he wanted to, rather than just being in a seat in a random room. It was less like an interview, more like his mind speaking to the audience. And then we move on to the other part of editing, which was the dissolve that we used in one of the scenes. So for that we used video transitions, and then from there you got what's called a cross dissolve. So in the scene where Alessandro, again in his sort of interview sort of mind state, he's got an American flag in the background to start with, and then he cuts to like a scene of Pop-Tarts. He's sort of imagining his sort of cultural food, so what he prefers. Cause obviously in the scene he's eating some English food, doesn't actually like it. So for there we use cross dissolve. All you have to do there is just drag and drop it onto the image where you want it to stop, so it fades out the American flag and in fades the Pop-Tarts rather than the USA flag. Then for my film review of in a magazine, I used Empire magazine as a template on Publisher. So obviously from my research into Empire magazine, I then depicted the main part of it would be the image. So I went first onto YouTube and took a print screen image of Alessandro as the character, then cropped it down on Publisher, and then made sure it filled out at least half the page, because on these big page pullouts in Empire magazine, the image generally takes up half of the top half of the page, so roughly about a quarter to 2/3 of the page overall. And then in the very top left hand corner, Empire magazine always uses the word review, and it's normally a dark navy with like a little sort of circle between the RE and the view. So obviously doing that, you need 2 text box and just one sort of circular shape, which just comes under shapes on the top toolbar. Next, I just had to again use another text box in bold white for the title, and then like a small slogan underneath. That's the same way that Empire magazine do it. And then underneath the image where the title is, you get 2 text box, and that is where the main bulk of the review goes. Again, keeping the colour contrast, I used a navy colour for the very start and continue the navy colour, but at the very start it has to be in bold, again like Empire magazine would do it. Then following on from that, there is the image at the bottom of at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. That is just a quotation, similar to the way Empire magazine do it. It's just what they would compare the film to, or something to say about the film that is in likeness to another film maybe. So for us, we used Modern Family because that was the basis of what our film was on. It was meant to be a sort of a mockumentary style sort of thing. So I've sort of compared to that in the way that it's like Modern Family but just for the big screen. And then next there is a yellow rectangle. Again, that's just with shapes. So you just pull the text box down over it, and then the text box had to be in navy blue again, purely for the fact that's keep with the colour contrast of Empire. So like the Modern Family segment is yellow on navy, sorry. So on the next part it was navy on yellow. That's used because in the Empire magazine comparison, When I looked at it for my research, there was a section of sort of 5 simple steps of something. So it's basically one of the characters in the film will go through what they 5 things that they would say about something. So in our case, we used Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, where the main villain Moriarty, he went through the 5-step process to being a good villain. In our case, we used Alessandro, being American, 5 things he doesn't like about the UK or doesn't understand about the UK. So that's just basically copying 5 text boxes all the way down and copying the 5 numbers and keeping them within the same length of each other. And then keeping the colour contrast navy on there so it fits the yellow and it's easily visible. Then after that I put a synopsis in. They're generally not always in Empire magazine, but because our film wouldn't have had a trailer or anything like that, we thought it was probably best to put a synopsis in, because it was partly to fill the space, but also because it's not like a mainstream film, it would need explaining rather than have a trailer. And then finally, the last bit we put in was, again, similar to Empire magazine, where they normally have like a section for extras, which is anything that's coming out on the DVD as well, just sort of advertisement more than anything. So with Sherlock, you had like the director's cut and bonus scenes. So with ours, we put the similar thing in with the bonus scenes and the director's cut. And underneath that, you've got the writer of the actual article and you've got the actual critics' review. So you've got, like, say, the 3 stars and the 2 stars in this one. To do that, again, I went onto Empire Magazine, the website, and just took a print screen where the stars are for that review and just cropped them down to size the number of stars that I wanted. So for my final print production, I made a poster for the film. That involved me and Alessandro sitting in front of the green screen. And then obviously for that I need to take the background out, so I go into colour range, take away the green from that. And then after you use colour range, you can then go on and just take away the whole green, so you're just left with a white background. Then from there you just drag and drop in your image into the background. So for us, we cut down half an American flag and half a British flag. And then after that, the only thing you need to do is add the text into that. So we just use standard black text, it goes well on the colours. And then on the title we used like a shadow background, just make it a little bit more effective, so you could actually, so the title stood out a little bit more.